So apparently I'm an idiot, and my microphone got swapped in Windows somehow for the last video. So I get to re-upload it, but that's fine. So, because I don't feel like doing timestamps, I'm just going to run through everything and then I'll talk about it, so that way people can leave the moment that they see everything. But I'll go over some of the stuff that was still in the last video anyway. And then just pause if you need to. This gun's not really used, so the frenzied locomotive. This should actually be this. It's technically like slightly more damage, but it doesn't matter. It's like absolutely minuscule. Alright, so this should be just general purpose. You can just use this everywhere, but this is the skill cost build. And I talked about it in my other Harris video, because this is how you used a player before they made electric display. But she didn't use gap in time, and so the reason that the TLDR is this works with her firing enhancement, or whatever it is, because even though it's not tagged as that, I don't know why. But the thing that gives her bonus firearm damage, because it's tagged as a normal AoE, and this affects normal AoEs. But this does damage basically the lower your cooldown is, and by lower I mean like the less of it you have, it does more damage. And so before, you pretty much needed to be, you need to have some cooldown on a lot of characters. And so on some of the characters now, like Valby and on Harris, although Valby could make use of this before with no problem, but at least on Harris, their base cooldowns basically just got reduced in the most recent patch, so you can run with no cooldown now if you want to, and it seems to work. So instead of this being like 3 or 4% damage or something like that, now you can kind of get like 20% damage out of it, which is pretty good. But it does require you to get your ammunition through another source, but Harris does have that via her 4th ability. So this restores 16% of your ammunition per second, which is technically more than electric display. It's just that electric display is sufficient, so I suppose if you're trying to max out your fire rate on something, which she can do, with like sharp precision shot or something, then you might need to actually just run both, which I had talked about as well. But so this is just the skill cost build, and so really it's just a balance of you might need to tweak some of it based on what your ancestor mod is, basically, but you're just trying to get it so that way when you press this button, it goes for, let me cancel that because it's noisy, goes for a long enough duration that you are able to keep the correct amount of ammunition to continuously fire your gun, and that it's also depleting fast enough so that you can rotate through her 3 different firearm buffs in a reasonable amount of time. Because if these run out, that's very bad. So my ancestor mod does have skill cost on it. The only real thing that you need to watch out for, there's a lot of things that you can tune here, and it's just going to depend on the content. I think I mentioned before that this scales with range, even though it doesn't say it scales with range. So if you're fighting like one target and you're going to be in close, then you could get rid of some of like the range here to pick up skill cost. But if you don't want to do that, which I don't like doing that because I don't want my abilities to miss, I dropped some of the defenses to pick up skill costs. So one of those is going to be maximize conservation as usual. And then I picked up strong mentality just because I have some skill cost here, but don't forget that final wish exists. And so what you could do, like let's say you didn't have skill cost on this, but maybe you had like, I don't know, maybe you had like HP or something on here. I don't know, anything else other than what I have. Duration is the only thing that really matters, but final wish is still existing. And if you use that with her 4th, then it counts. So this can give you like up to 37% cost reduction. So that'd be like on here another 22%. So conveniently, my ancestor mod is like 25. So you'd be able to reach something similar even if you didn't have this ancestor mod that you were using. You would also be able to. I have cooldown here and duration. I'd probably actually prefer like cost and duration, but I just don't have that right now, and I don't feel like farming for it. So we just made this one work is all. So you could pick up cost here if you didn't have, like I said, this ancestor mod and you were trying to get this to work. Because ancestor mods exist, I can't really give, and people are going to use them, right? Like I could give you a non-ancestor mod build, so that's kind of pointless, but so people are going to use them. So the best thing to do is just to talk about the parts of your build that you can tune based on what your ancestor mod is. So since I do have some cooldown, so by default, Harris is going to get 30% from her passive. It's that first line there. Best condition toxic stabilization. And then I have 7.4 from here, so I technically just have 37.4 by default. Sorry, I'm just burning down my stuff there so that way the buff actually shows up correctly. So technically I have 37.4 by default. So the way that I offset that is just by using maximize skill, and then based on the amount of cooldown that you have, it just level this up and the skill cooldown will go up. So if you only had like 30%, then you might run this at like level 6 or something. That should be the core of this, but let me show you that it does work, right? So if you, I don't think there's, so this is chill, so there's not going to be any damaging attributes. So anything that shows up in the etc damage over there on the right, the third line, should be from either an element or like an ancestor, or not an ancestor, a trigger mod or something like that. So this build, if you do take it into Wall Crasher, you might need like slightly more cooldown than this to appropriately start with like enough toxin when the boss is actually damageable. I have run it, I have been running it, and I don't feel like changing it because I'm probably going to use this for all other content if I had to guess. So I just deal with the fact that I have to like hit the boss once before I can actually start doing damage. But usually you can get like 2 of these. If you hit the enemy, it will give you a higher cooldown, but it gives you like slightly more toxin. So like on Lava Citadel, it's not an issue. You can pretty much just attack the boss right off the rip, and you just like hit your first skill one time, and then you have like enough toxin to start doing stuff, which is fine because it's like a 2-minute fight anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Right, so let me clear that out so that way it's actually visible. I kind of like screwed everything up there because I wasted too long talking about it. Let me just refresh my buffs and I'll show you. So you can see it takes a little bit longer to get your other skill there back because of the lack of cooldown, but I'm actually not in range. So as you can see, I think my 4th skill wasn't hitting. I wasn't getting ammo back. But out of our 2 billion damage, 400,000 of it, for 410,000 basically, was the trigger mod. So it did like 25% of our damage there almost. I guess it's 20%, but that's where it's getting like the 20% extra number that I was talking about. It should actually be a little bit higher than that. So, but there is like actual firearm damage that you're doing that is not going to be an AOE, so it's not going to be exactly 35%. And then at least as far as this goes, it's a lot more comfy if you run the increased rounds on it, the expand whatever. It's just going to allow you to, like, if you screw up and you're not using your 4th ability at some point, or you forgot or something like that, then it'll just give you more rounds to work with for things. But that's just for piercing light, but you would probably still do that for these anyway, so I like have it in my racer build just by default. There's not really that much of anything better that you could run. The only thing would probably be like a special mod with like toxin in it, so probably like toxin conductor or something, but it's not that important, I don't think. Obviously sharp precision shot's great. I still need to do testing with that to see if it's possible, but you would probably need to get rid of this to run electric display just to have enough ammo. So I know for certain you can't run it with just the skill cost build. You would have to run both in conjunction to be able to run it, and if that's the case, you should just run gap and time instead, because it's going to be the same or more damage without jankiness of sharp precision shot. So On the arcade tuning, you can see I did change it up slightly. So I got rid of the 2 HP mods. They say in their tooltip that you need HP plus shields to be able to reach her firearm cap, and that cap is 37,000 according to the math. So this should be the amount as long as it's coded correctly. I'm missing such a small amount that I'd have to like make a shield build for her to like test it, and I'm not sure I care enough. I would be missing such a trivial amount of damage. I don't really care. So basically I picked up 2 points here, picked up 2 points here, and then I used those 3 points to collect these just because I wanted the extra ammunition. But this does appear to be bugged, like I said before. I don't know why, but it doesn't increase the rounds for Eraser. It does for Piercing Light, so it gives us like an additional round every time it ticks for Piercing Light. And then I just took like one of these. So maybe if you were in like Onslaught or something, maybe you want to like do one of these or something. I don't know, because you might be hip firing, or like take one of these out and put them in here, because then you could do like this or something. I don't know, but it's kind of doesn't matter. I'll leave that up to you guys to decide. So, but as you can see, it is working. That's how the build works in general. You just need to make sure that you've got enough duration and skill cost that you're actually able to maintain this. So let's see here. So real quick, we will do one of these. $256 million DPS. So 700,000 of that was the trigger mod, as you can see, which is 20%. So that's roughly where we're getting that increase is on that stuff. So yeah, it does a stupid amount of damage. It does work in AoE exactly as you would expect with the Racer. So that's why I think that this is probably just a better build to run, but it is more janky. So I like the other build's totally still relevant. Like if you just want to not think, turn your brain off, and just shoot stuff, then the electric display build still just like lets you do that. But it does work obviously for this still. So yet again, you can see it's increasing our damage by about 20%. I forgot to use my 4th there because I'm just woke up and I'm really dumb. So that's really the only reason. Let's see if we can get a little bit more accurate of an estimate of what it caps out at. That's fine, that'll work. Yeah, so it's doing about 1 billion sustained AoE. Then 20% of that's from the trigger mod, so it's pretty high. It's pretty high damage. So I think that's everything to cover. I think I adequately described everything here with basically it's just balancing cost, duration, and range. And then making sure that you're at 0% cooldown, or as close to 0% as you can be. And then if you really want to, it still would be a DPS increase to do it this way. Like if you were really just interested in Wall Crasher, you could probably just get rid of this, so that way she has some cooldown and you can start the fight at like full Toxin instead of needing to press your skill 1 like once. Because I think you just need to press this once to get enough Toxin on Wall Crasher. But it would reduce your damage by a couple percent, so maybe like 5% or something, I'm not sure. Or like 6%. But that'd be up to you. So I'll give you guys the tools. You guys can decide what you want to do with it. I think that's everything. It should have a microphone this time. And then if I forgot anything, I'll see if I can pin it. So have a nice day.